My name's Ash, and this is my van with no name. Me and my partner Matt live here full time. So Ford Transit, long wheelbase, high top. Our van layout is all about having two people who work full-time jobs and are able to live in the van without hating each other, essentially. So little shoebox before you come in, so we can dump our stinky shoes. This is our grey water area, so we can just put our hose down into somewhere that's appropriate and dump our grey water. And then if you come on in, living area, we designed it so that we have a living area and a bedroom, so two different tones on the wall. Idea behind that is that we can feel like we have two separate spaces, so when you live full time with someone else and you both had a hectic day at work, it's nice to come back and have two separate areas. We live in a van to lower our cost of living. So I've lived in a van previously and I pitched the idea to Matt, who hated it. But then as we started conversing more, chatting more about the idea of we can go anywhere, we can be anywhere, we can live small, then Matt came around.
Yeah, it's just been perfect. We've really enjoyed it.
We've been able to invest more into property over the past 12 months. We've been able to invest more into our share portfolio. So just lowering our cost of living means that we can save and grow and invest more. And it's less planning involved as well. You know, you meet up with your friends and they say, let's go for a swim. Cool, we've got our swimmers with us. You go to the airport to pick your family up like this morning and they're an hour late. Cool, I can just lay in the van and have a sleep.
Yeah, you can be way more spontaneous.
So lounge room, this is actually a fold out lounge, so it pulls out to a day bed. So if you take off the lagoon table, you could be chilling out here laying down and have someone chilling out laying down on the bed as well. Under this one is a storage area where we mostly just store extra food items and some jars and things. Climbing is how we met each other. We met through climbing. Climbing for us is our outlet, so it's adrenaline filled, but it's our downtime and it's something really bond over. The van has allowed us to have all our gear with us at all times. It's enabled us to be more spontaneous and have more climbing trips because we don't need to pre-plan.
Being able to just park up nearby to a climbing area or a crag, you know, the night before we can just wake up first thing in the morning and just be the first ones there.
We decided to keep our battery box inside in case something went wrong and weather conditions weren't that great. Instead of having to jump out and be outside and underneath the bed, we could be in here and working on stuff. So we have 600 watts of solar on the roof, which is quite a lot. We have 200 amp hour EnerDrive lithium battery. We have a 2,600 watt EnerDrive inverter, and we have the Victron solar controller. So we went quite big. We also have a DC to DC charger, so we charge with alternator. We have an underbody mains inlet, so we can charge with mains if we ever get to that point, and then obviously the solar. So we went quite big because we have smoothies every day, and so we had to have a blender, and we really just wanted to be super self-sufficient. So we run our 90 litre fridge freezer on 12 volt. We run our downlights, our water pump, which is mounted under the body, our charger. So we have a phone, Apple Watch and AirPods charger. Both our Sirocco fans run on a 12 volt. Our, what's this thing called? Our Skylight runs on 12 volt, and so does our air vent.
Well, the major benefits are obviously the ease of living, the fact that we can be anywhere, anytime, and we're not tied down at any space. So that's a really great pro for sure. The fact that it's a cheap way of living as well. You know, no electricity, no water, no rent. Yeah, that's the big one.
Another benefit for me is how I feel when I'm in this space. So I feel like it's a sense of freedom. I can park anywhere. I feel like I'm free. When we shut the doors, we could be anywhere, and that's a really good bonding point for us as well. It's like we can literally be anywhere once we shut the doors. So
yeah, you can be in a 7-Eleven parking lot, and it feels exactly the same as if you were, at the base of a huge mountain when all the doors are closed. It's just our home at the end of the day. We feel comfortable, safe.
We decided to build a divider between our cab and our back, and it's mainly for security reasons. We're climbers. We park in dodgy climbing park areas in the middle of nowhere, and so the easiest way to break into the van is to smash the front windows. But if you get into the front, because of this divider, it does make it a lot harder to get into the back and to get our whole life. So we'll build a little dividing wall that just opens like this. We do have a 3-seater van, so it's kind of like, if you're a climber, it's kind of like a V0 problem to get in and out. It's not graceful. The transits usually come with a bulkhead storage, so we just built that out a little bit more. That's stuff that we want to have in the van, like winter clothes, but we don't necessarily want to have accessible all the time.
The challenges living in this lifestyle has definitely been the sort of work-life balance where, you know, I may finish work at, say, 1 o'clock on some days, whereas Ash, you know, works more into the night. So it's just having that space to be able to unwind. That's been, you know, not clash of each other in the small space. So we've worked around it quite well. AirPods can be thanked for that, the noise cancelling.
We're not completely remote yet when it comes to work. So Matt still has a construction business that he runs, and I work from home a few days a week. I have an online business, but I also have a day job that I have to go to physically. So the logistics for us is the hardest part. We have an undermounted sink. So we decided to undermount it because we don't use a sink all the time, but we wanted to go really big with our sink because it's our bathroom, our laundry, and our kitchen sink at the same time. Also potentially a bathtub if you're up for that. So undermounted it so that we could use the kitchen space at the same time if needed. We've got a water filtration system, so we have, because we're filling up along the road, it's nice to have a 3-stage water filter. And then this one is go everywhere. You can wash your feet before you get into the van, and depending on where you're parked, you can potentially shower off the side if you need to. We just keep our induction cooktop in the drawer because we don't cook every meal of the day. But yeah, it's pretty simple. Pull it out depending on where we're parked. We can plug it in here, cook from here. Usually someone sits on the lounge and does the chopping of the vegetables, and then someone cooks up here, and then we sit on the lounge to eat, or we go outside usually. So we kind of live by the ethos that you don't live in the van, you sleep in the van, you live outside. So if we can cook on a barbecue in a park, we will. We went the DIY route because this has been a huge dream of mine. I lived in a van back in 2010 and travelled around Australia, and it was a tiny little Kia Pregio with like 1 deep cycle battery, no insulation, nothing, and it was amazing. But I just had this dream to have a little tiny home. I had a vision of what I want it to look like. I had to get Matt to buy into that vision, which he eventually did. But another part of it was the self-reliance, like the reliance part of it, being able to, I had never picked up a power tool before we started this project. But being able to say like, oh, I can learn how, we need to put plumbing in, I can learn how to do that. Or, you know, oh, we need to wire in everything. Oh yeah, I can learn how to do that. So the build process was a lot for me of understanding, like pushing through the limits of what I can actually learn and what I can actually do, and then having someone who is amazing at building things to completely support. We have smoothies every morning, so this is our quick access smoothie prep area. So we can just plug it in, we don't even have to take the blender out. We can make our smoothies. We've got some, you know, chia seeds and hemp seeds and all the things that we can add to it. And then we've got some dry goods in the bottom. We eat a lot of couscous because it's just boiling water added. You don't have to waste too much power. Overhead cupboards, so we have one that is all our smoothie stuff, all our supplements. We love smoothies, obviously. Then we got a dry storage, so just bananas. Matt's obsessed with coconut water. And then this one here is our monitor cupboard. So our toiletries that we grab every day, and then our monitor cupboard. So you can check our water. Turn on our water pump, we've got a hot water heater, so we can turn that on from here, and then obviously our inverter. This overhead storage is it's called a lawn. It's from the baby shop, but it essentially enables us to store some wet dishes while we dry without them breaking, which is super handy.
What I've learned from living in the van has definitely been that you don't need a lot of things. You're very happy with sort of more quality items rather than, you know, just masses of unnecessary sort of items, or I don't know, sort of products that you usually have in a general house that just sort of take up all clutter. You know, you have the basic things that you need. I know everything in arm's reach is very handy.
You complain if we go into a traditional kitchen now
I
that
do.
everything's too far away.
I do, yeah.
I think it reinforced a lot that I already thought. Like, I do really love being nomadic. I really do love spending nights and afternoons outside and being in nature as opposed to being inside and in front of a TV. I think it's helped us learn about each other as a couple, as a like, we'd been together 1 year before we started building the van, and then 2 years when we moved into the van. And so working on a project like the build was challenging as a new person to learn how you deal with like those
obstacles and how you overcome the challenges.
Yeah, and the frustrations. We went with a bed widthwise, and it is an IKEA hack. So it's the IKEA beams with the IKEA beams are $20 each. There's 3 of them, and then there's the IKEA bed slats, which are $50. So it was one of the cheapest parts of our build. We went with a bed widthways. My boyfriend is 175 centimeters tall, and when we first built the van, he would lay in the fetal position, so we could lay long widthways. Since then, he has evolved his sleeping style. So now what we do is grab one of these pieces of wood. Where is it? This goes here. And then we have 2 of these that pop out and extend the bed. So they extend the bed this way, and we can lay lengthways as well. So we have 2 options. The van with the build, we're sitting at about 35k. So 35,000 Australian is how much. That's not including the labour of obviously Matt and myself. And we literally did every single thing ourselves in here, except for we had an electrician, an auto electrician, come in and do the final wire.
The advice I'd give to anyone who's trying to build a van would be to have a lot of patience and to know that it's not always going to work out how you anticipated it to be. And it is worth it in the end, that's for sure. But I don't think I'd ever want to go through it again with the challenges that we had to overcome. It was, yeah.
Give it a couple of years, you might.
Yeah, it's just the situation that we were working in. It wasn't, I couldn't put all of my time towards it and really focus in.
So we went with a huge skylight above the bed. We don't have walls, and we have closed in our back windows on the van, and we've done that on purpose for security reasons. We feel like when we're in the van, we'll open it up, and when we want to be not in public, then we want to be completely closed off. So we decided to go with a really huge skylight so we could get the sun in. We can see the stars. It's beautiful to watch the rain on. It does have a super high beam light on it. Has a fly screen, and then also has a blackout screen, so at night you can black it out if you wanted to. We don't have a toilet in the van. We live on the Sunshine Coast, so plenty of bathrooms around. And then we do have this super awesome Ouija for night times.
Yeah, and just like a gym membership, so we can access sort of restrooms or hot cold showers.
Installing it wasn't that bad, actually. It was a really easy install, even though the instructions were very minimal. Funny thing about the Skylight is we had pretty much finished our van build. We were ready to depart, and then Matt decided to drive out of the garage with the Skylight up, completely snapped the whole top off. So that set us back about a week and a half while we waited for a new Skylight to arrive and install a new Skylight. I think a bit of build advice would be to, I think what we did really well was we built out the frame, a lot of it, so it was livable, and then we lived in it for 5 months. It didn't have everything finished, but enabled us to sort of go, oh, we like this, or actually we put this here, but we never really use it there. So we were able to then go back to a house, which we were fortunate enough to have, and rip out the things we didn't like about it. So being able to have some time living in it before it's fully finished would be a piece of advice for the build. In regards to van life, people who want to have this life, I would say go for it in a heartbeat. It's such a good way to be able to grow and invest. So this is the back. We are climbers, as mentioned, so we've got a couple of ropes. We do have a wet area, so it is our shower, which pulls out like so. It's got one of those stop-start nozzles on the bottom, so you simply turn the shower on from the shower nozzle, chuck it over here, and shower in the corner. So we live in a beautiful place where there's showers everywhere along the water, so we often just shower at the beach or have a swim. But if we're in the bush and we just want to have a rinse off, we'll just get behind the door and shower behind there. I don't think there's one type of person that suits this lifestyle. We've been to some van meetups, like we chat to anyone who has a cool setup that will let us chat to them. And so many people come and approach us when we're just chilling out here like we are now. And they're not the same type of people. They're young, they're old, they're alternative looking. I think everyone craves to have less. I think, like Matt said, you have to be patient, and you have to be up for the pain of change to get used to what the new normal looks like for you. But I think it's for everyone. Our water tank is an 80-litre underbody water tank. So it's by Atlas Tanks. They're a company locally that, so we've mounted it underneath, but they have custom sized stuff to fit the Transits and the Sprinters and everything like that. The downsizing process was different for both of us. So I had been living in a small apartment with very little things, and I wasn't very into things, I guess. Matt had been living in the same beautiful giant property for 14 years, so had acquired a lot more things. Yeah, a lot more like hobby orientated items, like kayaks and a bow and arrow. Yeah, just like huge items. Yeah, that you obviously wouldn't fit into a van, the kayak obviously. But yeah, it was a bit of a challenge initially. A lot of Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, but it's the good downsizing, meaning that, you know, you're getting rid of all of those items that you never really used or you never needed. So it felt good to have less. I wouldn't say we're minimalist at all. We're just not excessive. This one's storage, so hose so we can refill our underbody water tank. More robes because we are obsessed with climbing. And these are our climbing packs that we take with us. This is our clothesline, so mainly just for swimmers and things after the beach. Heaps of storage space, which we don't really use. This is our like dirty washing, climbing, you know, hiking stuff. This is our climbing. This is pretty much what our whole van build was built around, our climbing storage. So to have enough space to be able to put all of our traditional racks and all our gear, helmets, everything that we need to go out, whether we're sport climbing or traditional climbing. We have had a few friends who have randomly spoken to us about security. There's a lot of female friends that have expressed interest in living in a van but have sort of said, oh, I don't know if I'd want to do it on my own. Matt, coming from the UK, was very security conscious, so we've been able to build things into our van, like the cab, the divider. We've also put some extra locks on the back, just some features that make us feel a bit more secure. I think anyone who has that sort of fear, I feel like you should really push through that, because it is an amazing lifestyle and you can set yourself up with some security systems that make that a possibility. We always try to be really courteous of, you know, once we park up, there's no slamming doors, there's no lights on, music, everything's really quiet, and we're always parking up to sleep. We've also built our van, like our water and our electrical mains inlet are underneath, so there's no holes in the side of the van because we don't have gas as well. So if you know that what campers look like, you can see the solar panels, but a lot of people think it's a construction van. My Instagram is Ashes Outdoors. We put a little bit about the van, a little bit about climbing, and a little bit health and wellness in general. And my online business is there, so that's where you can find us.
Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please share it with a friend. Also, if you want to watch more alternative dwellings, we got a playlist popping up right here, and we release new episodes every single Sunday, so consider subscribing.